if you're building a music podcast recording, design studio, anything that needs quiet, then we're putting in some pretty heavy, um, not very pretty walls to start off with. We're putting in, if the floor, depending on the environment we're going into, sometimes the floor will need treating. Um, if we've got a big, huge concrete slab underneath us, then it doesn't need to be quite as much. Similarly for the ceiling. So when we're soundproofing, there's a few different elements that we need to consider. Like I say, the walls, the door needs to. Often a lot of the noise is transferring through the door because that is something that opens and closes. It's not a sealed thing. So we might be putting in a secondary door. So you have a vestibule area. Each of those would have door seals on, um, making sure that when they close, there's a perfect seal around each of those doors. Then we have for things like live and control, music studios type setups. If we're soundproofing and we need to have like a nice pane, we did a job recently for Neck Deep. It's a band based in Chester. We put a huge big visual glass acoustic control room pane going through a twin pane, um, sort of visual port through to control, so they can say, right, okay, take again. Or so when we're soundproofing, they're the elements that we want to consider. We also need to obviously make sure we're controlling the noise within that space as well, because if we don't, you're going to get a lot of reflections in there coming into the microphone, through the instruments, and it's not gonna sound great when it's recorded. So we've done we've completed a studio for a label called Run On Records. They've got the Coral, they've got the Lathams, and they've got a few other fairly big artists on their signing, and we did fully custom acoustics with LED hues around them. We took care of a big old oil boiler in the corner of the room, made sure that had adequate ventilation but wasn't a noise problem. We put in secondary glazing to make sure that the external windows that were there and there was no noise coming in through those. Secondary acoustic glazing. We put in vocal booth, um, each of which, all had custom acoustic treatment. We were making it out of sustainable birch ply, with big cutouts on a big routing machine with acoustic absorber behind. The possibilities are endless when it comes to creating a studio. It often comes down to how cool do you want this to look, and but most importantly, what's your budget? Because you you'd be surprised. People want to build a music studio. I had one uh, come to me the other day, and they had £5,000 to build a full studio, and he said we can extend my garage out the side, as well. And I'm a music producer, and I was like, how am I going to build an extension for 5 grand?